Well, hello, and welcome back to a special edition of Idle Kingdom Defense. So today we're at 24,030, and of course, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and you know it, I know it, make sure you ring that bell. So today's the day, like I've spoken about this a long time, and the stars just happen to align, so we're going to do the Christian Challenge. Part of the reason I've been putting this off is because I honestly believe that the higher the artifacts are, the better chance Christian has of winning. I think Marion is going to probably beat Christian fairly easily. Obviously, the previous one we didn't do a full sweep of. So we'll have to do a little bit of creative interpretation, but I think that should be fine. I think we have enough samples of Marion doing the stages of previous artifact power to get a pretty good idea, and you can already see this is where this stage is taking longer, because Christian has to switch and kill everything individually, and he just doesn't do enough damage without his special. Basically, that's what I kind of figured what would happen. And let's take a look here. And see, he only hit 98%. Marion usually gets 99. So his attack just doesn't work as well with the strategy we're doing here. If you were doing a different strategy, it might work better, but because we're trying to clump everything up on the castle, and this is why I don't use any warriors, because the castle is almost Marion's. You can see Marion hits almost everything in the castle, and Christian just can't compete with that. For Christian, everything's way too spread out. And again, if he nukes this, he nuked the bottom left corner down there, and that was great until more enemies trickled in. So, I mean, it doesn't matter as much with Marion because she can hit everything. So she just cleaves off the whole front of the castle over and over again. And here's where it really sucks is when you get a bunch of stragglers like this. Now, it can happen to Marion too because the bottom left corner, she doesn't hit as well, but you can really see it with Christian. This is also why the boss has to run to the castle, and I can't do a stage quickly where the boss hangs out there. And we're not going to use any power-ups. I know that we'll just not use any power-ups. And again, I think this is going to be good enough. Because I feel like on those stages we've already shown the weakness, right? Because again, right here, this is going to be the problem. Everything's piling up. And Marion just would be hitting everything right here, and Christian's going to have to go through and kill things bit by bit. He does have an AoE basic attack, which kind of helps, but it doesn't help that much when, you know, your special attack has a much smaller area. And you can see, too, how he does some damage, but doesn't do a lot of damage without his special. Which is kind of a liability. Marion's in the same boat, but because Marion depends much more on her special to hit everything than Christian, it's not as big of you don't notice it as much. And again, a warrior would beat either one of these two-handedly because it's just so much easier for warriors. And so, let's take a look. 99-1, he was at least competitive. Marion could have probably pulled a 100. Here we go with the Rams, and it's going to be the same story. And again, now the difference between the two will go down as Christian's basic attacks can one-shot. Because if Christian's one-shotting with his basic attack, he's going to be doing so much better because his basic attack is AoE. That's one of the reasons I want to get the artifacts as high as possible. Obviously, the primary was just to make it faster. But the secondary is just the way, just like if Christian was doing tons of damage with his basic attacks, it would actually start to tilt, I think, in his favor. But as long as he's dependent on his specials for damage, it's Marion's going to win every time. She just has a bigger area for her. She has a more effective area for her special where she just hits more things that matter. Now, Christian does use a special a little bit more often. Marion has a longer cooldown. But it doesn't matter. Like Marion would hit all the archers. Marion would have killed all of these guys. Christian had to do them like basically one by one. He at least did get all the archers. And that's 4. And we're not going to use any of these because that would just skew the results. Oh, whoops. 99 to 1, so that is better. And here's another stage where it's going to be really hard for Christian, because these stages are so easy for Marion with everything just lining up. $99 to 1, so at least he's keeping it close. But you can really see the weakness with Christian. Again, we mitigated the weakness a lot by just waiting until we were this strong with the artifacts. And you'll see like Marion would have killed most of the cannons. Now he has to nickel and dime everything off the castle. The one good thing about this stage is the guy shooting at the castle. Yeah, he'll just get everybody there. Or no, he won't, because he didn't do enough damage to the boss. Wow. And he completely missed that one guy. That is the one problem with having one super strong hero. Missing really hurts. See, like he missed one of the cannons there. Missed it twice. Missing just hurts so much, and I don't think it hurts warriors as much. Like, for example, cannons, it would hurt just as much because cannons don't get tanked. Any other mob that's tankable would just follow the warrior around if they got missed, and they would just get hit the next time. So warriors are better in that regard. So that's stage 6, and we're already at 8 minutes, so 99 to 1. That's kind of unfortunate. We're already at 8 minutes with this. This is going to be a long one. Now, I'll say this. We know that Marion can do all the stages from, I think it's the ogre stage and on. Now, to be fair, we use the buffs on the ogre stage, so it's not totally fair. But she can do all those in like 8 minutes or less. So we're almost there. We should be able to like extrapolate, because those are actually really good stages because of the grouping of the monsters. And I'm hoping we can kind of extrapolate from there without me having to run Marion through this again, because this does take a while. It's not as quick as I would like. And of course, ideally, I would do Marion first so that Christian benefits from all the upgrades and not the other way around. So we're going to have to kind of, like, I have done some longer ones on Marion that I think started at like stage 5. So that should be, in my opinion, good enough. Like, the first 5 stages really aren't anything special. Stage 6 actually is because of the type of stage it is. So that should give you a good enough comparison between both. And remember, if you're choosing between Marion or Christian, it doesn't matter. You're going to level up your artifacts so much that you can just level them both up, do all their runes, and try them both because they're interchangeable. It would only matter if you were choosing between a warrior and Christian. Oh, whoops. Yeah, I'm trying to keep the pace up. Yeah, 98 to 2. See, when you see 98 to 2, you can really see the weakness of Christian and how Marion can just hit more things on the battlefield, in my opinion. The Marion is actually doing Christian a disservice here just by hitting things and slowing them down a little bit, but with the way Christian works, it doesn't matter nearly as much, because again, he has to wait for being a group on the castle, and he's going to be killing them in batches anyways, so. With Marion, her slow doesn't matter. Your slow doesn't matter when you one-shot. 98 to 1. That was interesting. 98 to 1. So here's 9. So I believe it's the one after this. Or no, I think it's stage 11. So we have 2 more stages, and then you'll really get into the meat of the stages. And again, we know the final, I guess it's the final 5 stages. Marion can easily do those in under 8 minutes. And that's where the real test is going to come from. And again, you're going to have to compare the times of the individual stages. For this, I have obviously, looking at the damage meter and stuff like that, so it doesn't really count. $98 to 2. So this is the catapult stage. This would normally, well, I shouldn't do this stage. A lot of times I do. It's just, a lot of times I get into a rhythm of doing it, and it's like, oh, it's Wednesday. But today, I got into the rhythm of being like, what? What do you mean it's Wednesday? So, I guess there's a little time, a little confusion for everybody. It's kind of a really interesting spread that happened there. Now, that one actually worked out. Christian did finish those guys off with his basic attack. But again, for the most part, Marion would have already cleaved the entire front of the base down. Well, bit by bit. Will he hit that one that's out there? I don't think so. No, it's just out of range. So we're going to have to do 2 passes on the catapults, or the ballistas. So that's 10. 99 to 1, so that's better. And here's the ogre stage. So this is where, so right here, we're at 13-ish minutes. We'll see, about, and again, not going to be super, super accurate. All right, so we're locked onto the ogre at the start. I mean, it doesn't matter. He's actually going to die soon. Or on another ogre, I think. All right, now at least it looks like everything is locked in place. Again, though, this shows the weakness of Christian. All this stuff in the front of the stage would be getting hit by Marion, and he has to kind of go up and down it to clear it out. And this is the toughest stage. This is going to be the toughest stage. $98 and 2. Damage meters don't really mean much. All the 98 and 2 does is tell us who has a better spread. So what I mean by that is Marion is able to basic attack, or sorry, special attack enough enemies to actually steal 2% of the damage, which doesn't even happen with Christian versus Marion, because she just hits and one-shots so many things. 98 and 2 again. But again, like I said, if you get to the point where you're choosing between 2 support, you can also just level them both up. I have gotten multiple characters to 20k. I've gotten multiple characters with all refined runes. So, like, don't worry about it. Like, if you're playing 2 interchangeable types of characters, whether 2 warriors or 2 support, excuse me, you don't need to worry about, like, oh, did I choose the... You can always change it. As long as you're willing to do the levels for another one, and you're going to have more than enough time to do the levels. So I wouldn't really worry about a choice too much. The only choice that is difficult is switching from support to warrior, because the artifacts aren't the same, or back from warrior to support. And again, I'd recommend warrior, and I'd recommend Vincent just because of the way Vincent works. He has a player-based AoE attack, so he attacks everything around him. That means if you're tanking something and he moves to another monster and a bunch of monsters follow him, the monsters behind him are going to get hit as well, and that's actually pretty key. He also has the best verticality, as in terms of his player-based AoE has the best up and down area of effect. And again, with most of the stuff in Total War being tankable, that's actually a huge advantage for him to be able to pick up as much as possible, to be able to kill things, and then pick up more monsters. So that means you need to have fewer books for Sophia in terms of, or fewer levels of defense for Sophia in terms of castle stabilization. So there we go. 13 is complete. And it's another 98 and 2. Now do remember, some of these, Marion has had a history of getting some of these to be 100 and 0. I'm not really sure why it's not more consistent, but I just assume she needs more artifact levels. Everything just boils down to the ratio of how much damage Marion is outputting compared to everybody else. And the more damage she's outputting, the harder it's going to be for anybody to catch up. Even with the way the enemies kind of wave out instead of come out all at once. So we're chipping the cannons in the back. Now we're on the front. And then we're on the 2 cannons, I think, down there. Oof, that's tough. And we have just 1 stage left. And yeah, so this is going to be a double header of longer episodes, that's for sure. But that's fine. I just wish I would have noticed it earlier. But it worked out fine. So hopefully this gives you enough data between Christian and Marion. Again, Marion to me is the clear winner. I didn't go into this ever expecting Marion not to win. 99 to 1. And that was part of why I kept delaying it, because like I said, Christian has the better chance with the higher artifacts, because there's only so much damage Marion can do. And once if I got it to the point where Christian's basic attack was doing significant amount of damage, he might have a better chance. And it just isn't significant enough yet. Though honestly, I don't know if it'd ever be that significant, just because of the multiplier that the special gets. But you can kind of see his basic attack does do enough to whittle things down. It's just it doesn't do enough to whittle things down before he has to use a special. Alright, here's the boss. And there we go. The final stage. And 98 to 2. So again, I think it's pretty clear to me that Marion is the winner. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and move things back. But once again, as always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to say something in the comments. I do always look forward to your questions. And as always, thank you again. And I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.